Is Blizzard worse than you thought? We're going to find out. Got a video from Big Boss here. It's well presented. It's a timeline of the events of what made Blizzard what they are. And we'll see where it goes.
The year is 2023, and a once beloved game developer's reputation is in absolute freefall. What was at one point probably the highest rated developer in the industry, a studio that pumped out classic after classic, has now become the home of incomprehensible horror.
Oh, yes. So, do you remember a time when you revered Blizzard? Because I do. It doesn't quite feel that way anymore, does it? And I don't feel like it ever can. And I'm aware of that. And I know you guys are aware of it. You're saying, stop giving money to this hack company and stuff like that. It is what it is. We understand. But we still have a fondness of the IPs that they created nonetheless. So, yeah.
Corporate greed, broken promises, botched releases, stolen breast milk. This is the story of Blizzard Entertainment.
See, it's a story of their... What happened, eh? What happened? Oh, I love
The year
Warcraft
is
1.
1991, and three guys have just graduated from the University of California. Alan Adham, Michael Morhaime, and Frank Pierce. They get together to create a game development studio in Irvine called Silicon and Synapse. The name is deeply philosophical and well thought out, with silicon representing the building block of a computer, and synapse the building block of a brain. However, people keep mistaking the silicon part for the material in breast implants. Anyway, they spent the first few years porting games to different systems,
I like
but
that.
soon begin producing their own original games. With the Lost
I like the style. I know some people get a bit annoyed with the Sumer style of like editing, but you kind of have to do it these days. And it's not so obnoxious in this one, at least. There's definitely way more obnoxious ways to do Sumer editing. The guy smashing the consoles together.
Vikings in 1992 and Rock and Roll Racing in 1993. Eventually, they get sick of constantly being mixed up with women's breasts, so they decide to switch things up, changing their name to Chaos Studios.
It's got like an
However,
afro perm
A
there.
company based in Florida already has the trademark, and are now asking for $100,000.
Wow.
They then
So $100,000 even back then for a new company. Like what, 1991-ish? Yikes.
decide to change the studio's name to Ogre Studios.
Huh.
But in 1994, they're acquired by a holding company for a few $1 million.
I didn't know about the Ogre Studios. I knew about the Chaos.
It turns out, their new owners aren't a fan of the new name. Okay. So they flip through a dictionary, and, oh my god, there it is. In 1994, Blizzard releases their first self-published title, a real-time strategy game called Warcraft, Orcs and Humans. And it's an instant success. It's one of the earliest real-time strategy games to hit shelves, and it's a blast. It also has a modem and LAN multiplayer.
It came out like about the right time because this genre was starting to pop off with the population, Dune and Dune 2, like that sort of. The gameplay of Warcraft 1 is very similar to those, if you've ever played those. I saw those when I was a kid. I think I even played a bit of Dune 2, but that would have been like as a youngster. And Warcraft 1, like Blizzard tend to do, is kind of like the start of their taking something that's already established to be a good idea and then just polishing it. And this is kind of where it goes.
Meaning people can get together and go ham. And the game does well, selling 100,000 copies in the first year. And for the first time, Blizzard Entertainment is profitable. They follow it up with Warcraft 2 in 1995. It's another home run. Critically acclaimed, and now selling over 1 million copies in its...
Can we just appreciate that Warcraft 2 came out basically a year after the first game? Isn't that crazy, the turnaround? And they went from 100,000 and now sold 1 million in that year. That is how you get your company going.
first year.
Yeah, I can turn the volume up a little bit.
Nice. It's now 1996, and a company called Condor Games is looking for a publisher for their nearly complete game, Diablo. Blizzard has a little look, and they like. So they buy them and rename them Blizzard North. It's also at this point that Blizzard notices something. Warcraft 2 had picked up a lasting online player base, mostly through third-party networks that connected players over this magic new thing called the internet. So they decide to make their own, Battle.net. Its original functionality is very simple, with the ability for players to chat to each other and search for a match.
Man, what's that? Go back a second.
Very simple. With the ability...
Do you remember this? The old chat rooms. You could spend ages in those. You don't even play the game. You're just chatting to the other people. Because it was such a niche thing. Now you can chat to people so easily on the internet. You don't really think about it too much. If anything, you can chat too easily on the internet. Looking at Twitter, to be honest.
Almost forgot.
Hey, thank you very much there for the sub, Raycon. And make sure to like the video, Raycon, as well on YouTube. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And Blizzard just do this thing of polishing so well. And I thought it's cool how they didn't just stick themselves into the RTS genre, right? They're smart. They did really well on that, and they still got the sample to go back to it. However, they've branched off into a hack and slash ARPG, like a Diablo. So now they've finalized that. So they've got all these kind of places on the PC spectrum, or even just gaming sphere, where they can essentially hit all these different audiences and then bring those in. Oh, I like hack and slash, but I don't mind RTS, but I never tried it before, but I like the hack and slash that this company made, so I'm going to try their RTS as well, or you could do that vice versa.
For players to chat to each other and search for a match. But on December 31st, 1996, it launches alongside Diablo, and people log on and play. Diablo is a massive hit, also selling over 1 million copies within its first year. In 1998, Blizzard launches StarCraft, an RTS set in space. It sells bigly and quickly grows a massive esports scene. Diablo 2 launches into...
So this video is very well made in terms of like displaying the history, but it doesn't go into too much depth of the creation of each of these products from what I've seen. However, that's not necessarily what it's necessarily trying to do. But the StarCraft story was interesting because if it came out the way that they first produced it, it would have possibly been quite disastrous for Blizzard. They could have actually taken a lot of hits on the popularity and tanked their company, because if you've seen those screenshots, they did such a sort of... They basically took Warcraft 2 and just kind of made some sort of fan-made space mod. So everything looked way too weirdly cartoony for the sort of direction they were going with StarCraft. Don't get me wrong, StarCraft still got its cartoony vibe, but it was a bit more serious, I think. And if you look at the original models, it kind of looks so scuffed. Everything's big, blobby, chonky. It just didn't really vibe well. And they realized that, and they dealt with it. And they were able to sort of, you know, pick up, edit it, make it good, make it clean, and then bam, another success. StarCraft, like hit after hit.
2000, another smash hit. It reaches almost 3 million sales by the end of the year, becoming the fastest selling PC game of all time. In 2002...
What is it? I think Diablo, honestly, is like the normie game, if you know what I mean. If you were going to take all of the gamers that are in the Blizzard sphere, I think Diablo hits the normie. The people that go to work, they come home, they just want to put something on and play and not think too much. I think that's hits that niche, because if you ever noticed, all of the Diablo games, they get massive amounts of sales. I think Blizzard's most successful sales, at least on launch, always come from Diablo. I know World of Warcraft's like insanely popular and has huge amounts of subscriptions and all that, but we're talking about like first week worth of sales. It always seems to be a Diablo that does the trick.
Warcraft is back, and now it has an extra dimension.
There it is.
Warcraft 3 sells 1 million units in just 1 month, immediately becoming the new fastest
deserves more
PC game. It also releases with a campaign editor, which spawns a series of popular mods like Defense of the Ancients. And after its expansion in 2003, it's all hands on deck for Blizzard's next project. The year is 2004, and Blizzard is getting ready to release its biggest game yet. They'd seen how big MMOs like EverQuest were getting and thought they'd try their hand. And after $60 million and 5 years of work, it's finally nearing release.
I wonder how much money they made from the previous games and how much of that went into this. Because you think 60 million, right? Even if they sold like 1 million copies back in the day and all that, and 100,000 copies, that's, you know, I couldn't imagine that's much more than 60 million. But then again, I've not got the spreadsheets to work on here.
In November 2004, World of Warcraft
Huge investment.
launches, and it takes the world by storm, smashing even Blizzard's forecasts. There are so many players trying to log on in the first week that their servers have a complete meltdown, with server queues reaching the thousands. Get past the queues and actually into a game? Well, now you're greeted with a ton of latency issues and a probable disconnection, meaning you're now back on that queue screen. After the initial server problems are ironed out and people can actually...
If you've never been there before, because I know a lot of my audience don't necessarily play World of Warcraft, but I definitely do, and I have done through the ages. There's nothing quite like having to wait like 6 hours just to get on to play. It's beautiful.
Play. The game sucks people in en masse. Fans are very enthusiastic. It hoovers up awards left, right and centre, and sells a ton of copies, reaching almost 6 million sales by the end of its first year.
Oof.
World of Warcraft isn't like your average game though. Instead of simply buying a copy, players have to pay a $15 monthly subscription
That's
fee
right.
to play.
Get the credit
6
card out.
million times 15 every month. And Blizzard isn't doing too badly. Everyone is playing the game, and its ads go on to feature a ton of celebrities.
I'm Chuck Norris, and I approve this game.
And others like Vin Diesel, William Shatner, Henry Cavill, Mila Kunis, and Dave Chappelle announce their addictions in various interviews. World of Warcraft is everywhere. World of Warcraft would also result in the launch of BlizzCon in 2005, a massive annual convention that would feature big musical acts and announcements for Blizzard's future games.
Anyone who went to 2005 BlizzCon, type it in the comments section below if you did.
Fans could also ask the devs questions, and were sometimes even featured. At this point, Blizzard is among the all-time greats of gaming. Every game a smash hit. They
Yep.
could do no wrong.
Oh, but that will change.
But first, flying a plane is easy. Just get in, flip a few switches, and you're off. But in War Thunder, it's even easier, and a ton of fun. Jump into intense PvP that takes you from the ground
Wow.
all the way to the skies. In fact,
That looks
War
pretty smooth,
Thunder
at
is
least.
the most comprehensive vehicle combat game of all time. Just look at all those things. There's more than 2,000 of them. Someone
Hashtag
that
not
likes the small
sponsored.
and agile,
I'm not
or a
sponsored
fan
now.
of the more
He is, though.
voluptuous. Well, War Thunder has something for everyone. The game is deep indeed, with a dynamic damage system that damages individual components. and
His
a
editing
huge
style is actually a
customization
bit
system.
quite like
Hundreds of camos,
Internet Historian,
historical
right?
emblems,
I'm getting that
and over a
vibe.
century of vehicles to pick from, and their models, painstakingly detailed to 100% accuracy, which you can enjoy in gorgeous 4K graphics. And you can play on Xbox,
Why won't I
PlayStation,
create a
and
video like
PC
that?
for free? Fancy
Took
a
me-
large
It took me 85 hours to make the other bloody video, the Warcraft 3 Reforged, 4 years later. Although I do, of course, include with that all the time spent sort of researching it, which means like watching the interviews and stuff like that. It wasn't like 85 hours behind Sony Vegas editing purely the whole time.
bonus pack with all this stuff.
His sponsored
Just
ads.
sign up through the link in the description or the pinned comments
Who?
below.
Who?
The year is now 2006. World
No, I edit everything myself.
of Warcraft has almost 10 million active subscribers and is bringing in a ton of money. So naturally, it had turned
Yes, Ballador, I have. That's what I mean. I was talking about when he was doing his edit. Oh, okay. I won't. Don't
a
worry.
few heads. One of those heads, Bobby Kotick, CEO of Activision. Now in 2006, Activision had made good tracks in just about every genre of games, except one. And one that was now booming. The MMO. With Warcraft currently bringing in over
Hey,
$1 billion
STV.
a year in subscriptions alone, he's interested. Now at this point, Blizzard has changed hands numerous times, and is now owned by a company called Vivendi.
Yep.
So Kotick approaches Vivendi with a proposition. Vivendi receives money, Activision receives Blizzard. However, Vivendi says no.
Oof.
Instead, Vivendi offers to merge their gaming subdivision with Activision, with Vivendi owning a majority share in the resulting company. And after a brief hesitation from Kotick, in 2008, the deal closed.
And that is where it goes wrong. Activision Blizzard. ActiBliz. Oh boy. It makes you wonder, huh, doesn't it? All the different timelines. What would have happened if Activision wasn't merged? How would Blizzard be doing now? Would be quite curious.
Activision Blizzard opens its doors with Kotick as CEO, and Activision...
Yeah, I'm aware of that Ballador, but I already said basically that it was like Internet Historian. I was talking about the ad and how it was highly edited, and that's what Internet Historian does. But you're acting as if I wasn't aware of that, even though that's what I was talking about at the time, and I brought it up.
And Blizzard, now its two subsidiaries. Blizzard would supposedly retain most of its autonomy and keep their CEO, co-founder Michael Morhaime. It's now 2010, and Blizzard has gone from just under 500 employees before the launch of World of Warcraft to now over 4,600.
Jeez, what the hell? That ain't right, is it?
World of Warcraft to now over...
So that's basically when Warcraft 3 came out, around 2002.
4,000.
And now, 8 years later, they've gone from that to that. Holy crap. Too many cooks spoil the broth.
1,600. The majority of whom are preparing for the launch of StarCraft 2 in July, and the third major Warcraft expansion, Cataclysm, in December.
Cataclysm.
Now, these launches were not small. Warcraft had been hitting peak after peak of players, and was now at 12 million monthly subscribers, and StarCraft 2's sales projections are also sizable. But Blizzard currently has a problem. Their forums. They're a little bit toxic. Blizzard has a big team of moderators, but according to them, this still wasn't enough. So behind the scenes, they get brainstorming, and someone has a brilliant idea. How about we just force everyone that posts on our forums to use their real first and last name?
That was a good idea.
Genius.
What could go
in
wrong?
July 2010, Real ID is unveiled.
I remember
And
that.
people
I was there.
Absolutely hate it. So in an attempt to sell the idea to players, Blizzard's community manager posts his full name on the forum. See guys, it's fine. But almost instant...
I used the forums as well back then as well, Tyrell. I got banned on the forums as well because I made a couple of troll posts about some World of Warcraft guild and how they kept sniping people and stuff like that. Got timed out. That was good times.
People descend on the forum and get to work. And within mere minutes, they find and publish his home address, phone number, age, Facebook, family names, and a list of his favourite music and movies. Okay, you know what?
Good movies.
Fair enough. And after just a few days of being announced, Real ID is scrapped entirely. By 2009, the Warcraft 3 mod Defense of the Ancients had gained a significant following, and had even spawned a whole new genre of games, MOBAs. For much of that time, Blizzard had paid little attention to the mod or the game, but the success...
That's pretty accurate, actually. Yeah, they weren't even, aware. Do you know what I mean? There's like a gold mine underneath your house, or an oil, basically, is better, maybe for Americans. Oil, as there always is oil underneath your house. You're not aware. You've seen some oil seeping out of the grass and stuff like that, but you're not really paying proper attention. You're not thinking, oh, this is oil, this liquidy substance. I can make money of this, You're just whatever. And then, if they got control of, man, you know how we were talking about, Blizzard had the RTS, they had the Diablo, so they got the hack and slash, they got the MMO now with World of Warcraft. They could have had the fucking, the original sort of Dota, League of Legends style. Because how much money did League of Legends make, or Dota 2? How much money did they make, especially League of Legends from skins and stuff like that? How much money? Riot must have made so much money. It'd be so interesting to know how much money they made. Blizzard could have also had that. They had the audience. They're hitting on every single mark. They've got a huge amount of fan base that are willing to try out any of their games. So they could have easily got them into the MOBA genre. Oh, they could have been popping so hard. They would have had everything, basically. It's like a whole monopoly on the gaming market, apart from first-person shooters. But that will come a bit later, actually.
For much of that time, Blizzard had paid little attention to the mod or the game. But the
Acute Sharpness says there's a little history. IceFrog rejected HOTS because it is too restrictive. I didn't know about that. But that's funny because Blizzard made a mistake by not paying attention to him, because that is part of the issues of HOTS. Yes, it's friendly and they try to get like more group play, and there is an argument to be made that that could hit the normie market more and therefore you get more copies sold. But when it comes to the competitiveness, my goodness, I think they underestimated just how competitive people get in games like League of Legends and Dota 2. So you don't really get competitive when you can't have that much of an impact. And that's the problem with HOTS, is no matter how hard you try, it feels like you're not really doing anything. You could do every skill shot under the sun, but you're barely having an impact on your opponent, as if you was just pressing your button every off cooldown. So there's not much meaning to what you're doing, and if there's not much meaning to it, it lacks the purpose, it lacks the drive, it lacks the enthusiasm.
success of the recently launched League of Legends could no longer be ignored, and Blizzard finally steps in.
That's far too much to read, Chichoff. Thought of the business models behind the skins, they would have sold it as a subscription-based game or pay-to-play. What, League of Legends, a Blizzard Dota sort of thing? I have no idea what they would have done with it, but it would have been interesting to see.
Starting work on their take on the genre, titled Blizzard Dota. Around the same time,
they did it originally.
and Valve wants to make their own MOBA. They'd hired the head dev of the original Dota mod, snapped up the Dota trademark, and they're calling their new game Dota 2. Blizzard is furious. So in 2012, they file a statement of opposition, arguing that the name Defense of the Ancients was associated exclusively with Warcraft due to it being made in their map editor. However, this argument has issues. See, the mod was created in Warcraft 3's map editor.
Fuck? This editing is smooth. Look at his hands cover over the Blizzard logo.
This argument has
How he do that?
issues. See, the mod was created in Warcraft 3's map editor, but that map editor had no
That's hard to
specific
do.
terms and conditions on ownership of said maps, IP, and concepts. They end up settling out of court a few months after, with Valve getting the commercial rights to the term Dota, and Dota 2
Oh, I'm
releases
aware
in
of layers, but that's
2012.
not easy.
It's massively successful, and goes on to be an esports giant. Blizzard gets non-commercial use.
Like, how quick could you do that, Kekfit? Because that is basically like a 1.5 second clip in his video. That's 33 minutes long. This is what I was talking about, how long it took me to make my video. It's like 85 hours. A lot of it was research as well, but a lot of it was editing. Like, just to get like even just a second or two sometimes. Because you're doing masking. Give you a week and you'll do it. Exactly. That's what I'm more interested in, is like the level of effort for the shortness of the clip.
The title for its community and renames Blizzard Dota to Heroes of the Storm, which releases in 2015, and support is canned 3 years later. Blizzard would change its licensing agreements for all future games to include their ownership of player-created maps.
Maybe
in an
Raycon.
attempt to avoid this ever
Not
happening
aware.
again. It's 2012.
That's why we got the thing, by the way, with the Blizzard Warcraft 3, where they own your game. Hippity hoppity, Blizzard owns your property. Because of essentially what happened with them not having control over the rights of Dota. Because they thought they did, because it came out in their custom game section, but technically they didn't.
And the massively anticipated sequel to Diablo 2 is looking like it's releasing this year. Its development had been a bit rocky, with its dev team, Blizzard North, being canned in 2005, along with their version of the game. But on the 15th of May 2012, the rebooted Diablo 3. The game.
Nice. Futurama so good. Yeah, we play. But don't normally do reacts, but I think this video is pretty good, so I wanted to put it up on the channel.
Game is horrendous. For one, its launch is horrific. The game is online only, and turns out there are massive server issues. People are
The online only thing was such a point of contention, and rightfully so, because everyone up until this point, you have your game, especially the Diablo games, and you can fucking play it offline. Like, piss off, I want to play my game. I don't want to be connected to have to play the game. And this is around the time where all the gaming companies are forcing you to be online because they want to sell you stuff online with their shops.
spamming their login details over and over, only to be kicked out by error 37. What's worse, there's no queue system in place, so you have to manually retry every minute.
Yes, that was painful.
This issue takes over a week to fix. Then there's the auction house. Here,
Oh.
loot can be bought and sold using your mum's credit card. Activision
I never really made any money from that. There was such an opportunity to make some money from that. Some people did. Some people got lucky with their items and made like a couple £100 or so. Just didn't happen for me.
Blizzard gets filthy rich, while the balancing gets obliterated. Endgame content is also essentially non-existent. However, the game sells almost 4 million copies in its first 24 hours, and over time, slowly makes a turnaround. In 2014, the real money auction house is closed, and Blizzard launches Reaper of Souls, an add-on praised almost unanimously. They're ready to make a second add-on to the game, but management says no. Apparently, executives see the game as a massive failure.
What?
And demand devs jump.
What? That's so crazy, isn't it? Because you just think how quickly and easily they could probably pop out Diablo expansions. They've already got the game. They've already put all the effort in, the terrain, the style, in the skeletons for the models, most of them and such. It wouldn't be that difficult, I think, to pump out a new expansion every year for Diablo 3 at all. And it hits the console market because they got it selling there. And they kind of, yeah, they only did the one expansion, right, for Diablo 3.
Shit. The year is now
I'm pretty sure that's the IT crowd,
The past
season
10
1.
years had seen massive expansions to Warcraft, including controversial changes to the game and its mechanics. And player numbers reflect that, now being in steep decline. A growing number of players long to go back to the days of vanilla, version 1 of the game, back in
That was Activision who made that decision, and it's made Morheim hate Bobby. He probably hated Bobby before that point, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
2004. One fan even floats the idea to Blizzard themselves at BlizzCon 2013. Here's how that goes.
Have you ever thought about adding servers for previous expansions as they
You
were
don't
then?
want to do that.
No.
Okay then, we'll just make one ourselves. And the fan-made Nostalrius vanilla server goes online in February 2015, running version 1.12, a month after the original launch. It's not long before the server gets massively popular, with almost 1 million accounts registered.
Wow.
It's also not long before Blizzard catches wind, and
Bear in mind, that's a private server. You know, most private servers are pretty niche and stuff like that. This was really the telling for Blizzard that there was something going on here.
brings the hammer
And they want something from it.
down. Their lawyers sent them a cease and desist in 2016, and the server is promptly shut down. Realizing they were completely wrong about vanilla Warcraft, Blizzard do a full 180 and announce Warcraft Classic in 2017.
Jesus. It was announced 2017. Fuck, time is going so fast, man. What? I think Classic came out 2019, but still, didn't it? Yeah, but 2017 it was like announced. We're 2024 now. What the fuck? It's going to be like
Back
10
in
years soon at that
2007,
point.
Blizzard started work on a huge MMO called Project Titan. It was described as a combination of Left 4 Dead, Team Fortress, and The Sims. But development led nowhere, and 6 years later, the plug is pulled. A
Titan.
massive failure on Blizzard's part, and a major internal embarrassment. However, the team behind it would attempt to rework the remains of the story and assets into another.
That was smart, because I'm pretty sure that Project Titan probably cost them a lot of money. That was supposed to be their real next big thing. And it ended up being their next big thing.
Project, and in 2016, Overwatch hits shelves, and it's amazing. It's critically acclaimed across the board and massively popular.
Hang on a second. I just gotta see how it's doing now. So where are we on? Oh, we're on Overwatch 2 now, are we? So they've moved from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2. All right, let's see how Overwatch 2 is doing.
Enemy in sight.
Oh.
Quickly becoming one of the most popular esports titles on the market. That, paired with their genre pioneering card game Hearthstone back in 2014 that now has almost 100 million players, and Blizzard is looking strong. However, there are problems brewing. See, Overwatch was the last big game that had in the pipeline for a while. and they realise they don't have much to show off for BlizzCon 2018. So Blizzard rushes to find something to show off. Got it. Fast forward to November 2018, and their presentation is ready to go. They sprinkle a few niche announcements here and there, like a remastered Warcraft 3, but they have one big announcement centerpiece. After 6 long years, a brand new Diablo. For mobile.
Like, look, Diablo 2, come play the mobile game that has nothing to do...
I'm amazed, honestly, it's this bad. This is fucking insane. I don't even know like what to even say about this.
Just was wondering, is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?
We don't have any plans at the moment to do PC.
That's got to be the first time they got booed on stage ever
You guys not have
at
phones?
BlizzCon.
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
The game eventually launches, and it's bad. Firstly, it's not even developed by Blizzard,
I
but
never
their
played
Chinese
it.
partner NetEase. And turns out, it's monetized to the tits. It costs over $500,000 to max out a single character, and becomes the worst rated game ever on Metacritic. By 2018, fans are noticing something. Activision Blizzard had been creeping, and Blizzard was changing. See, back in 2013, Blizzard had bought back the remaining Vivendi shares for about $7 billion, meaning they...
I remember these are called Henry vacuums, but the way it's being used is very good context.
Blizzard had bought back the remaining Vivendi shares for about $7 billion, meaning they, and by extension,
I've never seen that
Bobby
before.
Kotick, now
It's
had
very
complete
good.
control of both Activision and Blizzard. Fast forward to 2018, and this creeping had only got worse. Because of the slowdown in game releases, Blizzard's revenues are taking an absolute nosedive. So Blizzard steps in. It pushes the company to cut costs, and gets them to produce games at a faster pace, with Kotick apparently installing his own executives within Blizzard to ensure that happens. Apparently,
I can believe that.
tired of Blizzard's meddling, Blizzard co-founder Mike Morhaime steps down as president and CEO,
Yeah, that
and
sucks.
leaves the company after 27 years of work. He's succeeded by Warcraft's executive producer, J. Allen Brack. This guy.
And by the way, you don't want to do that either. You think you do, but you don't.
And as soon as this happens, we accelerate. The company immediately prioritizes cutting costs, and the Heroes of the Storm's development team is outright annihilated. Its esports league is also scrapped right before its 2019 season. As a result, entire teams, commentators, and support staff are suddenly left jobless. And despite 2018 being a record year for Blizzard profits, they lay off 800 employees, almost 10% of the company.
In all fairness, that's sort of kind of normal for a lot of game companies. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying that's not that surprising that they do that. And yes, J. Allen Brack went grey very quickly when he became in control of Blizzard. All of the stress, I think, from dealing from Bobby Kotick's crazy evil orders probably sort of drained his soul.
Begin rehiring the exact same jobs a couple of years later.
That's cheeky though, when they did that. And they like rehired at lower cost.
So going into 2019, people are not happy. But turns out, over on the other side of the world, and things are happening in Hong Kong, they're not good. Their government has proposed a bill that would give China more authority over them, and that's not too popular. At the same time, Hong Kong native Blitz Chung is participating in Hearthstone's esports league.
Hearthstone?
He wins and uses the post-game interview to show his support for the protests. But as soon as he says it, something happens. See, Blizzard has a huge player base in China, and to keep that player base available to them, they have to bend over backwards for the Chinese government.
As does everyone.
So when this happens, they go scorched earth. They take the livestream down seconds after he says it, slap him with a year-long ban, and even confiscate his prize money. Even the guys casting the stream are fired. It's not long before the internet catches wind, and people are furious. At one point, even Congress members have a go. After a few days of pressure, J. Allen Brack eventually comes out. He reduces the ban to half a year, and grants Blitzchung his prize money back. He also says that Blizzard's relationships with China had no influence on their decision. Blizzard is starting to look seriously not cool. So
I
they
can
decided
believe
to go
him.
into BlizzCon
100%.
2019 with the big guns, announcing Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2.
Was
Also,
that AI?
That Warcraft remaster they'd announced at the infamous 2018 BlizzCon
Oh, look who
is
it is.
coming out next year. This'll be good. Back in 2015, Blizzard had set up a subdivision to remaster old games.
Oh, it's
the
a
first of
movie.
which would be Warcraft 3. And in January 2020, the highly anticipated remaster launches. And
You can already see the models skating there. They're ice skating. Look at the footmen. You can feel like they're not grounded to the actual terrain or the actual floor.
January 2020,
I can see that right quickly, even from that blurry image.
the highly anticipated remaster launches. And, oh boy, the game is beyond terrible. Here's why. Before launch, Warcraft 3's advertising touted multiple new features. Over 4 hours of cinematic new cutscenes, more story, and new voice acting. And a complete campaign overhaul, changing the story to be more in line with the current Warcraft lore. But when
Probably just as well they didn't do that. Yeah, the fans weren't so keen on them changing too much. They were going to take some poetic license, but don't go too crazy. Because part of the problem, if you actually speak to the Warcraft 3 community, they don't like, a lot of Warcraft 3 don't like World of Warcraft, so they don't want it to do with the World of Warcraft story.
When players log on, turns out absolutely none of this is in the game. This is after being advertised on the website for over a year. Liar! There's also a ton of features from the original Warcraft 3 just outright missing. Here are a few of them. No ranked play,
No.
no profiles,
No.
no account stats,
No.
no custom campaign,
No.
no clans,
No.
no cross-region play for custom games,
No.
and no offline play.
No.
It's possible after a few patches, but it's a little complicated. Also, after some digging, people realise the main menu background is actually a Chrome-based web app, and it's taking up more of your CPU power than the actual game. Online matchmaking sucks and kicks you out all the time. This is without a way to reconnect, but
You know, in all fairness, I still think the menu is sluggish and kind of slow, but I do remember it being worse. So I think they actually have done something since the last 4 years to at least make the menu a little less sluggish.
anyway, graphics are worse than advertised.
Treason! Have you lost your mind, Arthas?
The new art direction is bad. 5 of the game's maps are exactly the same as the original, and poor optimization, tons of crashes, and countless bugs. On top of all of that, Reforged is a mandatory update for everyone with the original game. Own the original with no intention of upgrading? Well, here's an additional 30 gigabytes of install size anyway. All of this amounts to one of the worst launches of a game in history. Within a few days of release, it ends up at 0.5 out of 10 on Metacritic. At the time, the lowest Metacritic score in history, before being dethroned by Diablo Immortal. So naturally, hordes of people pile in to request refunds. But wait, you've booted up the game even just once? Sorry, you're not allowed. There's so much outcry about the game, however, that Blizzard eventually caves and starts actually granting refunds. The game is so bad that the entire classic games division at Blizzard is completely canned.
You're fired! Get out of here!
It also causes an upcoming Diablo 2 remake to be pushed back more than a year. So it's 2021, and Blizzard's reputation is currently abhorrent. But luckily, Overwatch 2 is just around the corner. Oh, hold on a sec. Oh god. Turns out that over the last 2 years, the California Civil Rights Department had been investigating Activision Blizzard due to multiple reports of sexual harassment from staff.
This is fine though, because Blizzard will do an investigation and they'll find that they weren't guilty. So don't worry about it.
By July 2021, they had enough evidence to file suit. The lawsuit states that sexual harassment, unwanted advances, and groping are common within Blizzard, both before and after the merge. This includes the mention of an executive suite at 2013's BlizzCon. It's not a nice place. In fact, some employees literally dub it the Cosby Suite. Then there's the alleged underpaying of women, and complaints to both HR and the president repeatedly being ignored. But there was something else. the employees' breast milk.
In fairness, at the time, the president was like Mike Morhaime, wasn't he? So that was one of their sort of sketchier things where Chris Metzen and Mike Morhaime were in technically at the time where a lot of these complaints were going. So they're not completely like off the hook, but yeah, they could have looked into it a bit more seriously at the time.
It keeps being stolen. In the lawsuit, more than one employee alleges breast milk theft. It was very clearly breast milk in bag.
Did Metzen leave in 2014? I don't think so, because Overwatch came out in like 2016, didn't it? And that was Metzen's baby. So yeah, I think it was like sometime after 2016 Metzen left.
Baggies with a baby's face on it, a former producer claims. One day, I went to retrieve my pumped supply at the end of the day, and it was gone.
Overwatch with Jeff Kaplan's. Yes, Jeff Kaplan worked on it, obviously the most, but Chris Metzen basically was working on that a lot. Like, he's doing all the story building and stuff like that. That was his latest baby, so to speak. Like, Warcraft was his baby, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And then, like, did that. Yeah, I don't think it was 2014. He was around.
Fallout is monumental and makes headlines industry-wide. Few people are spared. Current Diablo 4 lead, gone. His character's name in Overwatch, also gone.
Yeah, that worked, didn't it? Cole Cassidy. Yep. Sure. That'll fix your problems. Just change his name.
Level designer on World of Warcraft, gone. Head of HR, definitely gone. Warcraft League, gone. J. Allen, gone. Their chief legal, gone.
Gone.
The Wall Street Journal also alleges that Kotick knew about the whole thing, ignored it, and in some cases, even jumped in himself. He denies most of the allegations.
I did not.
But eventually apologizes for a one-time instance where he left a voicemail threatening to have his assistant killed. That's all fine then. Water under the bridge. Sponsors like T-Mobile, Coca-Cola, Kellogg, IBM and Pringles also all jump ship from the Overwatch esports league. And Activision Blizzard is hit with a class action lawsuit on behalf of its shareholders.
What?
Overall, the situation's not looking great. Activision Blizzard denies most of the claims, and in June 2022, they investigate themselves and find no wrongdoing.
Yep. That's the bit I remember for sure. How else are you going to do it? Everything's fine. Meanwhile, they're like shredding all the papers wildly in the background.
Immediate reaction to Overwatch 2's announcement was one of confusion. Overwatch 1 was a monetized game with a thriving player base and regular updates. The kind of game that doesn't need a sequel. So this was a strange move. Overwatch 2's development would also mean the end of support for Overwatch 1 in 2020, with us seeing no new Overwatch content for multiple years, essentially killing the game. What? But with Overwatch 2, Blizzard reassures us it was all worth it. Just look at all this new stuff.
It took so long for them to get Overwatch 2. What a debacle that was. And it still went through. Never got truly cancelled in the end. They really went all in on this project that was doomed to fail.
5v5 instead of 6v6. Shiny new graphics. Balancing
wow, 5v5 instead of 6v6. It's a completely different game.
changes. Map reworks. 6 new maps. 3 new heroes. More than 30 new skins. A new game mode. A battle pass and cosmetics shop. And most importantly, a PvE campaign. People had been longing for a story in the Overwatch universe, and now it was finally happening. And it was ambitious. Blizzard shows off a full campaign, along with hero missions, talents, and massive skill trees unique to each hero. Hundreds of missions at launch, they announce. A truly replayable campaign. And don't worry, with Overwatch 2, Blizzard tells us they were redefining what a sequel really means. Overwatch 1 players get all the new maps, updates, and heroes that release in Overwatch 2, and both player bases can crossplay together.
When he puts it like that, it sounds really good, or at least respectably understandable that it's worth the wait.
The purchase of Overwatch 2 essentially only granting the PvE mode. Okay, sold. Players are on board. 10th of March 2022, and Blizzard has an announcement. Look, we know we said hundreds of missions at launch, but, well, it's taking a while, so we're just going to release the game now without it, and add it later.
Yeah, Warcraft 3 Reforged did that. Only took them 2 to 3 years to bring out the ladder, didn't it?
Then
Like
in
actual ranking.
June, they come out again. The game's now free to play and launching in October. But anyway, on the 4th of October 2022, it goes live. There are some issues. Events are bad, tons of balancing issues. The looking for group feature is now just completely gone. But mainly, there's the new cosmetics system. In Overwatch 1, earning cosmetics was simple. Just play the game, level up, and earn loot boxes that give you skins. You could pay for them, but that was completely optional. In Overwatch 2, things are different. Blizzard has now slapped on a seasonal battle pass system, where the bulk of cosmetics would now be unlocked. There's also a rotating store, and the prices there aren't great. You can unlock skins for free through the challenge system, but there's a problem. It takes about 8 months to get one. A simple character recolor takes almost 4.
See, this is the thing. They make it so astronomically unfair that there'll be the people, the whales, aka, you know, that will just, they got no qualms. They're just like, oh, get the old wallet out. They don't even like consider like the ethical quandaries of it all. They're just like, oh, I want this. I buy. I get. I'm happy now for 5 minutes. Whereas anyone that's like legitimately playing the game, it's just like having to like slog and toil just to earn one fucking skin after that much time. It's disgusting.
Weeks. All of this means that it will take you around 327 years to get all the stuff you could get relatively quickly for free in Overwatch 1. Better get playing. Also, there's now a new hero every other season, and they'd be locked behind the later levels of the season pass. Your options are, spend every minute of your life grinding for them, or pay up.
Give me money.
In Overwatch 1, they were unlocked straight away. Fans don't take kindly to these changes. But then in May 2023, Blizzard comes out again. So, that PvP hero campaign that we've been advertising, and was pretty much the sole...
I like the attention to detail here. Like this stamp mark, it's like a footprint mark almost on his, and he's like got some slime and grub on his suit. And it's all cracked, this Blizzard. The cracks are starting to show.
Reason we made the sequel in the first place. Pretty much completely scrapped. No more talent trees or hero missions. Instead, we're just gonna pepper some PvE missions around every few seasons. This was essentially the entire selling point for the sequel. Some of the remaining story content is still planned, with its first release on August 10th. But when it finally releases, it's only 3 missions. Blizzard is saying the game won't be getting any more story missions until at least 2024. They also add Overwatch 2 to Steam, and it instantly becomes the worst reviewed game of all time.
Yeah. They can't control the voting system so easily on Steam, because a lot of these companies will do that. If you've ever paid attention, like think of Amazon and Lord of the Rings, like the TV series that came out, they were deliberately deleting a lot of the reviews, the negative reviews and stuff like that, and comments, etc., because Amazon own, I think, IMDb. I think they do, at least. So there's like manipulation going on there, and what's truly happening, and they're able to silence your voice to a degree, but they can't silence your voice so easily on Steam.
The year is now 2023, and Blizzard's reputation has never been worse. So when Diablo 4's release approaches, people are cautious. But on the 5th of June, the game launches. And it's surprisingly good. There are some issues here and there, but reviews are mostly positive, and over 10 million people log in and play, making Diablo 4 Blizzard's fastest selling game of all time. For the first time in years, things are actually looking up.
Amazon owns both Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. Well, that is very skewed then, since those are the two websites that a lot of people use for reviews. You have to wait another 3 to 5 years to see how Microsoft handles Blizzard. Yeah, you might actually have to wait that long before you actually get the genuine results. You might see little sprinkles of stuff happening, but before you get the true results, yeah, it's like anything. It's all hindsight, isn't it? You don't truly know until enough years have passed.
And this game was live service, meaning it would receive 3 seasons of content for the foreseeable future, the first of which was launching in July. A month later, and in July, Season 1 of the game drops. It is disastrous. And Reddit goes into a
Didn't touch
complete
it.
meltdown. Turns out, everything gets a big nerf, including the Metacritic score. The Sorcerer class, which was already underpowered, is hit especially hard. Then there's the enemies
I
being
used to play
overpowered,
Sorcerer.
much less XP, a bunch of reskinned dungeons and enemies, barely any new content, and zero quality of life changes.
Everything here is wrong.
One streamer on Twitch tries to explain why the season isn't that bad. Here's how that goes.
Explosion is at... I actually just lost my hardcore character while trying to explain this to you. I changed my mind. I hate this season.
And it's...
I said this to Marcus. I just don't. I can do hardcore in a lot of games, but I feel like a hack and slash genre is very spiky, some of the damage, and a lot of it is kind of unfair sometimes when you get spiked very hard. It's very hard to calculate truly and therefore methodically make the correct decisions to avoid dying in hardcore in a game like a hack and slash, like Path of Exile and stuff like that. It's why they have like these things where you can just literally just disconnect yourself so it doesn't count or whatever. I just don't like those ones.
Seems Blizzard also has a bit of a fixation on the
Battle Pass, Battle Pass, Battle Pass,
Battle Pass.
Battle Pass, Battle Pass.
Speaking of which, it gives paid players 666 platinum. The cheapest item in the store is 800.
Nice.
Also, back when Blizzard was designing the menus for the game, they decided to place the Activate Premium Battle Pass button right next to the button you're constantly pressing to see your season progression.
Thank you, Puny Baker, for the sub.
There's also no confirmation button, so if you want to check your progression and accidentally misclick, congratulations, you've just purchased it. There are multiple other confirmation buttons for other menu options in the game. So Blizzard's last few years haven't been great.
Somehow, Blizzard is now worse than Bethesda.
It had slowly become clear to people, with overreach from...
Didn't Blizzard beat EA one time for like worst game company of the year? I feel either that was a meme or I think they actually might have done it.
Activision, more fiscal concern, and most of the original talent having left the company, among other things. Maybe Blizzard wasn't the company it once was.
You see that little touch? That's for you there, Scarlet Jackal.
Among
breast milk thief reveals his identity.
Other things. Maybe Blizzard wasn't
the little
the
smile
it once was.
from
And
Buddy.
after a back-to-office mandate in 2023, even more talent is leaving. So much talent that Blizzard is now actually creating crisis maps for what content they can and can't get done. But with the acquisition from Microsoft, who's currently focusing on making good exclusives to slap on their Game Pass, some fans are hopeful for change. But for now, the outlook on Blizzard Entertainment remains bleak.
Well, they got Microsoft. They'll fix everything,
And don't
right,
forget
guys?
about the epic
Right?
action-packed War Thunder free-to-play PvP
Oh,
vehicle
wow.
game. Sign up through the link in the description or comments
War
for a big
Thunder.
bonus pack.
Don't forget to get on your War Thunder, boys. Ah, there you go. Wow, insanely well edited video. That must have taken fucking ages, or had like some proper professional editors behind it, because some of that stuff was actually like legit insane. If you've ever done editing before, I've dabbled in it. I'm not very particularly good, but I've dabbled in it, and I can see some touches that are like, if I did that, that would take me ages to learn how to do that. It's a really well made video there by Big Boss. Let me know in the comment section what you thought, and surely Blizzard will get better. Surely.